Hey there, beloved Ascension Pioneers. How are you doing? Well, I guess this is going to be a long video, a long Ascension update. This is a pre-warning, so to say, so you better know what's going to be ahead of you. The thing is that, each time I make a video and I think about what I'm going to make next, it's like, I've already talked about everything, and then I experience things and I go through things, and it's like, how can I even think that? There's always something to talk about, and as I experience things and as I go through energies, and there's many events, challenges, initiations, downloads, everything, from the physical to the ethereal to everything. It's like, oh gosh, it's always something new. So it's kind of hard for me to put everything I'm feeling, I'm sensing, I'm integrating within me in just one tiny video. So I like to call them Ascension updates. So, many things come through. First of all, I found these two buzzard feathers. You can see them here. They are from my favorite of all times, although I love all animal nature kingdoms, and they are from my favorite birds, buzzards. This one was the first one I found, the soft one, the baby one, and the bigger one. So, divine, feminine, masculine coming together, looks kind of like that, and there's many reunions happening all over the world anyway. And today, when I woke up, I was receiving again messages about beloveds and twin flames, and I'm like, okay, what is this? But the first thing I would like to mention is, that I do hope these feathers will serve me, speaking the divine truth as always. And the first thing I would like to share is the dream I had today, because I had a very challenging weekend. It was also a resting weekend, and was moon in Cancer, so there was a lot of healing, integration, holding going on as well. But I did go through many things, which I would like to share as well, on a shorter note. But the thing is that each thing that happens is like a learning experience. It's like an embodiment experience that we need for our journey, especially as volunteer souls, because we need to master things in the physical. We need to ground the energies in the physical. That's why we're going through such things. A lot of people who don't understand this might say, oh, you're having a hard time because you have karma, or you have this and that. It's not so linear, and it's not so narrow. It's very much about the bigger spectrum of things and the bigger perspective, so the bigger picture. Anyway, I would like to talk about many things, including the planetary DNA, the integration of the new energies, the inner empowerment, the Sirius alignment, so the Alliance Gate, gateway and activation portal, and many things as well. So about us as pillars of light. Where to start? It's gonna be a challenge. Well, first of all, let me say about the dream I had today. After this challenging weekend and the things that I've been going through on some of the levels, I need to put these feathers aside, because then I keep caressing them and I don't know what I'm actually saying. So they will be serving me from up here near the camera, and if the wind blows, they'll just go where they need to be. Okay, here's the thing. I had a dream tonight, just as I was waking up, about a beautiful rainbow, but it was like divided into two parts. It's like you would be driving through, sometimes when you see a huge rainbow, and I've seen many of them this year because I was, having my adventurous experiences, going to different mountains and places, and it's like when you drive through a rainbow, this is how it felt. And then you see it from a different perspective, you see it like from afar, and then you go under it and it looks different again. So in the dream, a part of it was not fully visible and a bit scattered and like fragmented. And then when you look at the other side, it was like full spectrum rainbow, very vivid, very distinct, no fragmentation, very colorful, very beautiful, and it was a feeling of, wow, this is it. So the soul showed me that this is kind of like this breakthrough point, it's all about the perspective as always. A part of the rainbow, which is more scattered, is like the initiations, the challenges that everything we had when we were putting things together. And of course, on a bigger note, it's also about the rainbow bridge being fully activated. There's many points that are associated with this that are activating it further and further on. It's an ongoing process, and it's an internal and external thing as well. So the other part of the rainbow, presents kind of like the after the gateway, the breakthrough, the real bigger perspective, the bigger picture, the piece of the piece that was kind of like missing. So the period of calmness after a much strife and challenges and trials and tribulations. And yesterday I was watching this video about guidance. there was a message about sunflowers, and I shared about sunflowers in my previous video, and I've chosen that color, and it was very much about, you know, going through so much of the things and challenges, and now coming into this resting period, you know, finally getting rewards and seeing the blessings in disguise that were there. And there's a lot of messages coming through about these blessings in disguise, which we can't always see because we lack the bigger perspective, and because we're involved in things on a human level. Sorry. So sometimes we worry about money, how it's going to come through, how the support is going to come through, and things like that, which is happening with me again now as I'm going through the physical relocation. So my move to the other town under mountains. And the thing is that I'm seeing, you know, how many things are now also resurfacing that weren't there before. And these patterns and these fears need to resurface in order for us to see and to break free from them. And you know, to start this video with a bit of my own experience after I share more about the Planetary DNA, so please hold on, and the things that I was reading in Dolores Cannon's books. And for those of you who don't have the book, there's a lot of you who report it, you have the same book or you've read the same book and you like it as well, because it's just fantastic. It really is. It's a lot of divine remembrance and codes of awakening there. But there's also things when I'm reading coming through myself, so that I need to add. So I'm going to update you about this now. And before that, I would like to share my personal experience, which was about this entire move. And don't worry, I have this sensation, this inner knowing that I will share about the details of my move, more in the scope of a broader sense, you know, the phases, what I've been going through, because I'm not sharing so much about that. It's just on a bigger level, you know, just on the surface of things, because I have a feeling that a lot of people who will be going through very much similar transitions will need this, because we are way showers. We show through our own example. So I'll be talking about this after it's all done and settled. I'll be sharing the whole experience. I'll be guiding you through all of that, but it's not the time yet now. So what I've been going through this week in particular was this beautiful day on Saturday when I felt so much calmness and I needed to rest after so many, you have so many errands and efforts and how to make money, how to get money, because there's going to be places going to be empty, you know, furniture and things like that. And it's like, oh gosh, you know, so many things that were happening. And then we get there, we have an apartment meeting, and there was this thing that was dealing with the closets that are there, inbuilt closets, and the expensive ones, and you know, again the issue with money coming up. And how the seller wanted to sell these closets to us for this, you know, amount of money, which, you know, money, abundance is what you value. For me, it is freedom. For me, it is to have enough gas to load up my tank and go to the mountains, to be free, to be in nature all the time. This for me is abundance. For someone else, this means to have a yacht, or to have a villa, or to have nicely furnished apartment, or to buy, you know, expensive closets because they mean so much to them. The sense of value is becoming really different, and we see this distinctiveness between us and the people who still live in the material realm. So what came up after, you know, many things that we agreed upon was this situation when there was again this challenge, whether listen to yourself or listen to them, because they shared, you know, they said this is the only solution from our experience. And I'm like, is there always such a thing as one experience? You know, it's never the case. You know this. There's always infinite creative solutions that we can find through our own inner resources. And for me, all my life, I haven't gotten anything from the outside. I've always built through my inner resources. You know, I haven't had much, but I always had enough for what I needed. Oh, the feathers want to go away. They want to come back to me. And we've been seeing a lot of bumblebees, you know, when we were on a trip. And one of them, when we were returning with the car, flew right, it never happened to me, it flew right, you know, with the highest speed when I was driving with the car. The bumblebee, he came in and in the lap, and like, oh my gosh, the bumblebee, poor guy, you know. And there were so many of them, and what they represent, I feel, is abundance, you know, because the bees, they're more like about community and community work, and they put, you know, their beehives and the honey, and they produce it so that humans already take a lot of the amount of what they produce, most of it actually. But the bumblebees actually only use what they gather for themselves. So it's about inner abundance. It's for us. It's a lot of the messages what I've been getting, also what I've been seeing some videos yesterday when I came home, like 3 of them, and it was a lot about astrology and numerology of this month of August, and it was a lot about the things that we thought before were selfish, because a lot of light workers, which I call balance workers, were thinking, oh, you know, I should be nice, I should do this for others and others. And the woman said, this sucks. Well, it's true, you know. Now we're coming in these terms of inner resources and inner abundance, what you desire and what is valuable for you. So to get back on the track of what I was saying is, there was this issue of these closets, and I'm really thinking, okay, there's holes in the wall then if the closets are withdrawn from there. And there was like not a lot of honesty and sincerity coming from the other party. And I was thinking, the third party involved, the seller, and I was thinking, when we get back in our car in the late evening, thinking something isn't right here. The way they communicate, it's just not honest. And it's like they want to get money from us. I just felt something wasn't right. And I said, I don't value the closets. I don't care how much they paid for them. It's their energy. It's their effort. It's what they value. The seller said, but this is the only solution. Otherwise it's going to be so ugly and it's not going to be this straight line. I'm thinking, she said, my husband is in love with these straight lines. It's so grotesque without it. And I'm thinking, what the heck? We've been hiking then the next day a bit, just to the first waterfall. There's these beautiful waterfalls there where I'm going to live. I wish to take you there someday, but too much information, I know. And we've been hiking, and I've just started crying. I had so much weight inside of me when I was, encountering these energies, because a lot of times we're too sensitive and we gather a lot of energy from others. And that's why probably before I headed to this trip, I had a dream that I put a white pearl, like shiny necklace with a violet pendant. I was putting it, like energetically, I was putting it around my neck. It's kind of protecting myself with divine truth and integrity, with speaking my truth. And there's a lot of messages coming in about that as well, because we got to be really strong when we descend into the world of the physical, dealing with the people who are the normal quote unquote people who they call themselves normal, and they live by the the standards of still manipulated entrapment and enslavement and dogmas, and the only thing that they know is real. So when we're dealing with that, a lot of times we might come into contact with this what is ours and what is theirs, and they live by totally different beliefs and totally different experiences. So she was saying, I already know how this is because I've went through this experience myself. And I'm like, yeah, but this is not my experience, and my life is totally different. I live by alignment of spirit. She said, you can take the credit, and you can take the deposit and just, and I'm like, no, we're never going to go into the below what we have. We've always lived, even in our family when I was younger, we never had much, but we always had enough because we lived by never taking credit. So we never took money from loans from the bank. And we actually only live with the flow. What we had, and when we spent it, and we got new. And it's always lived this way, even before my awakening. And I've been talking to my mom, and she said, no, I'm not guided to do this, And I asked her, really, do we really value this? Do we really value these closets? Does this really have value for us? She's like, no. And I said, exactly. So there's the answer. The answer that is right. I've been talking about this all the time, is the one that will bring you the most peace. So when there's like this inner contraction, it's not the right answer. When it feels hard, like, how am I going to get the money for this? How am I going to, it's not the right answer. Something better, something different is there for us. And the moment that we've let that go, I was like, oh, there's the solution. It doesn't have to be closets in there. It could be something else. And there's so many solutions, but what these people do is they try to sell their truth to us, and sometimes they do it with a lot of manipulation also, because they don't want to admit to themselves that maybe they still do live in a material world. And sometimes they're not being, I was asking myself, why are they not being honest? I would appreciate it if they at least said to me, I want money from you because I want these closets new so that I don't have to, install them again back in my new place because I have nothing there. So just be honest. And the answer that I got from Spirit was because these people don't want to admit to themselves that they're still living in a material world, and they're still entrapped in that, and it still has a lot of meaning for them. So that's why they lie and hide and pretend. And I've been experiencing a lot of this in my life. There's still a lot of impurity there. So we got to stay really strong. And then I started crying when we were returning from the hike, because I felt so oppressed from these things and the external forces. And it's like my soul, I said, just wants to be nature, wants to live my purpose. Like a member of my soul family that I met last week said to me, you live your purpose just by walking, and I'm like, yes, I do. And I need to walk these sacred trails and with the mountains, and I work with the energy and the grids and the ley lines. And when I would be forced to focus with things like closets and money, the money that I would never pay for closets because they don't mean that much to me. They don't have value for me. It's silly to me. It's funny. It's really funny what humans are doing to me. Living from a higher realm and being also in this realm, it's not always easy. And my entire life I've been crying a lot because I couldn't understand why humans function in such a way, why their values are not somewhere else. Of course, a lot of the people's values are shifting. We can only do so much by sharing with those who are ready to maybe jump, to take a leap forward into the new. So I was thinking, I don't care. I was saying, I don't care if I have nothing in my place. I moved there because of the nature. I moved that I can be there, you know, close to the mountains, so I can drive, so I can be there really, you know, faster, and so that I can be in this new space that I'm being called to be there. And with the elves, because there's so many elves there, you don't believe it, but I've received this new oracle deck. It's amazing. It's from Lord of the Rings Oracle, really old, and I managed to get one. And I was doing a bit of work with it, and then I was walking back, and I had this instant thought, oh yeah, this place when we're moving is exactly like Rivendell, you know, with the waterfalls and the elves living up there, and it has these two waterfalls. And it's very much similar with the cliffs and then the mountains. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm moving to Rivendell, to where I'm really from, energetically. So you see, there's a lot of joy at one side. So this is the other side of the rainbow. And there's still a lot of maybe fragmentation on the other side, when we can allow ourselves, if we do, to stay there in that material, in the beliefs and dogmas and manipulations of others and their reality. It's not our reality. So we got to be really strong. And the hardest part for me on this journey is to, not the physical thing, when you actually have to move a lot of the baggage and luggage and new furniture and install it and everything from one place to another. It's the working with these energies that are not of your nature, and then transmuting it with light and bringing love into it. So love is creation. And the thing is, this is what I wanted to share, because at that same weekend, I was also spending a lot of time by the mountain water stream, by the water. I didn't even have the energy to go to the mountains. I wanted to. I was looking at them from below, say, oh, mountains. And I just didn't have the energy, because there's so much happening and you need to be really in your energy space to go to the mountains. So I just really wanted to rest. It was like being on your seashore, except there was no sea, just a mountain stream. And it's very cleansing as well. So no wonder the moon was in Cancer. And I've been working with this oracle, and I've been reading a book from Dolores, and there was a lot of things that came up that I knew for so long, and I want to share them with you, because it's how we live. As volunteers, you know, we have different parts. We are coming from different realms, and we have different purposes to play here. You know, we each play our own game. But there was this one part that I really liked about them. It was in a chapter about the New Earth. And one of the beings, well, part of the energy was saying that the volunteers of this type are here just to be, you know, what I was talking about just a week ago, I think, to be this antenna of peace, of embodiment of peace amidst the turmoil, the chaos that's going to be happening. And you know, this chaos isn't just associated with natural disasters, because a lot of people still think that the shift is all about the natural disasters. It's so not true. It's about the raising of the frequency, you know, like they've been explaining that the day, and I've been saying to my mom, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. The days are so much shorter, and I feel it even more intensely than just last year before 2012, and I already felt it then. You know, and then I'm reading in the book, and they're saying that the day, the equivalent that was before 24 hours, that was equivalent to one day, is now less than 16 hours. And I'm like, oh my gosh, exactly. It's how I feel it. It's just, but we do so many more things in one day, and it's becoming really highly vibrant. This is when you're moving to a higher frequency. And they've been saying that we'll be noticing this more and more. But what they've been also saying is that the turmoil, so the chaos we've been feeling, is going to feel, the intensity is going to feel much less after this shift. The period of adjustment is over. It's not going to be like over, but there's like this one stage of it. That's how I feel it. So they've been saying that we're actually here to be these antennas, embodiments of peace, so that people can see. I call these way showers. We show by our example. So you see, I've been going through a lot of turmoil, and it's not even my energy. But you are in the outer chaos. You know, I see people who are moving, and I see their fears. You know, the people who we've sold the apartment to, and from which we're buying from. And I see other people. I see the agent. I see all of them, and they're really in chaos. And we have to be those antennas of peace. And actually, what they've been sharing is that it's not up to us, you know, and it's not up to us to decide. It's up to them. But we serve as this reference point for them to see whether they want to make the transition or not, because it is about the choice, and this is all about the choice. And I've been speaking about this choice for like, I don't know, ever since I started. And this is ascension that is actually just a personal choice, the soul choice that we make. And there's a lot of souls that we're still in between. And remember, I shared this about the dream that I had like 2 years ago, that I've been having these rainbow colored beads in my hand, and I lost them. They fell in the sink, and I subtracted them, and withdraw. A lot of them fell in the sink, that were in the mud, and I just had a few left. And the soul said to me, you're only here for those few that want to climb up, that want to move, that this is their choice now in this lifetime. In the book they said something about, you have all the seeds scattered, but not all will be sprouting at the same time exactly, but eventually the time will come for everyone. So this is not a judgment call, it's just a choice. And we are here for those who are choosing. So they were saying, you're not here to be amongst those who are already in this light. That's why we're so far away from each other. Sometimes it feels like this. It feels isolated and very much alone. It's not. It just feels this way. And you're also not here to be dealing with those who are in extreme negativity, because they already made choices to stay in the old. You're here for those who are right in the middle, so they can maybe jump with your assistance, with your light, with your example, with your showing of the way, and this is it. But they were also saying about this gateway closing, and the same was in Salvador Kelly's books, and the same message is what I've been receiving. So we're here for a certain period of time, and then we will move on to these higher realms, to this higher density. We won't wait. They said once you're there, don't look back. Exactly. You don't even have a feeling. You don't even think about looking back, because you don't even know what back is anymore, because you're where you are. It is so natural to you. You have gained this frequency. So to be these pillars of light, that is what I want to talk about. So that's why I shared my experience, because it has a lot to deal with getting so much strength. And they said all the turmoil that you've had was for you to have the experience, because you will know then how to be in peace when there's going to be so much chaos. And what I'm experiencing myself is the exact same thing. It's not karmic, guys. When you're volunteering here, it's not karmic. It is there for the embodiment. Like, many masters, like, think of Jesus. He went through all these initiations because he needed to embody this divine love essence that he was. And he had all those initiations. He passed them with flying colors, and that's what we're doing, each in our own way, in our own divine timing, but we're doing it because we came here for that reason. So they said it's not known when you're going to be called to move on to the next level and to just leave and not going to be there anymore for these people who are still choosing. They said this is going to be a matter of knowing when the time comes, and you will always know. You know how you always receive guidance in the moment? When you're not knowing, it means not time yet. But then when you receive it, it's like, oh yeah, head full on action. That's how I function in this world. It's how I always was. So if you don't get guidance, rest, be patient, nurture yourself, watch for the guidance coming, in divine timing, but then just be observant, be vigilant, and it will come. And they said it's about really being here of assistance, not about asking yourself, when am I going to move on to the next level? It's about being here. And the same reason is about our purpose. We have so many multicolored purposes, all encompassed in one, in our beingness. But we always have to be remaining in the one that is crucial for us now, that is serving the highest purpose for right here and now, and it's going to benefit the most, so for the highest good of all. And sometimes you feel you might have this general overall purpose. Like for me, I've always been saying, I'm here because I want to not just talk about ascension and how to move on to next level, how to shift. I want to be with those who already made the transition and guide them into higher dimensional living, into embodying and creating a new world. And yes, it is. And a part of this reality is already becoming manifest with my move, and so on and so on. I don't know when this is going to be, but I need to be focused where I am now. I need to be focused with the guidance that I receive each day for all of us to really benefit the whole. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about is this thing with the planetary DNA, which was also in the book and in my true self as well. This journey for me began, it's connected with Atlantis and what was happening then in that cycle. And it's still repeating itself, and in a new form, of course. So for me, this journey began when I started awakening 3 years ago, or 4, I don't know, maybe three to 4. And 3 years ago, this psychic woman told me, she said, yeah, you were a high priest in Atlantis, and you had all this knowledge, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know, I didn't experience myself. I don't know, I'm not going to think about it. But I always had this deep sensation whenever I heard the word Atlantis and creation and the higher worlds and how they lived in total connection with the God source, and they just lived as their higher selves embodied on earth when it was the pivotal peak time, the peak of the golden age. and holding the energy and working with the co-creator gods who have established this way of living, who have brought the seeding of creation here. And now the seeding is taking place as well. And a lot of the seeding is taking place through seeding, through embodiment of the of the souls who are here to volunteer, who are coming here from the higher realms. So the seeding is not just happening how they did it before, the seeding of this race of the human beings, but the seeding is also kind of like an undercover, mission with us who are here with different purposes, different energy structures. We have different DNA, different light DNA already, because we already carry light and information from the higher realms. We're just here to activate it. We're not actually adjusting the DNA. We're activating what is already there, what was dormant. So the thing with the planetary DNA, there was this example in the book when the woman was remembering Atlantis and working with the grids and the ley lines, and not just for the common people, the normal people that were there, but mostly for the earth, for the creation, the world that will be there, the serving. And I always felt this. And when I was reading it, I was actually biting my nails. I thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, it got so, adventurous for me when I was reading it. And she was explaining how they needed to dissolve, so actually destroy. It wasn't destroy, they put it to sleep, these grids, because what came to be was the other pole. It was this intermingling of energies, and there were others who were messing with dark energy. They were exploring the dark matter, and if you play well enough, you can actually dissolve the whole universe. And she said why actually the deeper purpose of the fall of Atlantis and why it was all destroyed at the time being was because it would affect other worlds. It would ripple out. It would ripple out and would cause an effect not just to this planet, but it could be ruins of the entire universe. And then Dolores made this assumption that, oh gosh, this very much is in alignment with the CERN experiment, with the Switzerland, with a collider, and they wanted to recreate their own antimatter experiments and the tiny universe. So it's always about wanting to create something that you're really not meant to create because you're not a co-creator God. So playing with creation. So they knew and they felt this was best to do at that time. But she was talking a lot about this planetary DNA that is actually directly linked with our own DNA. A few days or a week ago, we had the pivotal alignment with the peak of the Star of David alignment, and it was a lot about our own Merkaba, the Star of David, aligning with the planetary Merkaba. So the planetary DNA merging with our own DNA, and this is what I'm hearing a lot right now. And the DNA is all actually one DNA. It's all source DNA. So like I said, it's not to be adjusted. It's to be activated. And I've been talking about this in my previous Ascension messages, that the cosmic rays, a lot of people report, oh, there was this gamma rays, these rays from this constellation, from that constellation. When these rays are coming in, they're changing. So they're not changing it. They're actually activating our DNA. What is dormant? The multidimensional part of the DNA. And they're activating it, and with the sun, with the solar flares and the solar energies. This is how we're being activated and remembered, and those souls we're choosing are opening to the energies. And the others, if you're not opening up, the energy doesn't serve. You can have an open vessel and it can receive anything, but you can have this tiny closed gap. You can have as much water as you want, but you won't be able to fill the vessel with this water. So the thing is, that's why a lot of this is connected with our diet changes, because when you have a light body, really light and not overburdened with other things like digesting too much and heavy foods and all the processed foods, you actually can be more open to this light being activated and integrated through you. And the planetary DNA is so important because it's a planet that is shifting into a new dimensional state. And if we don't align our own DNA with the planetary DNA, which means our own ascension is directly linked with the ascension of the planet, because the planet is the platform for this ascension, then you have nothing. You need to go along with it. You will always create the kind of experience that you can actually cultivate through your own self. And like I said, what we're here for is very much important right now, to be understood on a higher level. Sometimes the steps that we take won't always make sense. Like for me, I'm thinking, oh, this move, it's like you feel driven by your soul. At the same time, you feel this unpleasant energy because you don't know what comes next. But this is the part when surrender comes in, and through surrender, we're actually really embodying our I am presence, because the I am presence, when it descends into matter, it will govern your life in a way that you will just Take your hands off the steering wheel and allow the divine force to flow. You won't actually say, oh, I give up my free will and I don't have an existence anymore. It's not that way. You will merge your free will with the divine will of all that is. You will become a much more advanced human divine being. You will actually align with your source nature. You won't become enslaved by not, having your own free will, because free will, when you look at it from the bigger perspective, is actually unnecessary, because the divine is already all that is. It already governs all life and creation. So the free will aspect is very short, very tiny, and very limited when you think of it in that way. When you expand, when you broaden your vision, you will see that actually plays no more part. So what happens is, when we shift, a lot of the things we have known before, they simply have no more meaning. They have no part to play anymore. Because on a grander level, the grandness already is taking control of everything, not the tiny part. It's very much simple when you think of it that way. Whew, I think I've pretty much covered everything. Probably not. There's always more. But, I did say to you guys, it's very challenging for me right now, especially financially. But everybody's talking about abundance now. August apparently is gonna be about abundance. And abundance is not just financial prosperity. Abundance is to have the support that you need, the time that you need, the ideas that you need. But for me, it's always about freedom. To be free, to live your soul purpose. And like I said, my soul just wants to merge with the creation, with the ley lines, because, I am one of those people who were mentioned in the example of that woman who was speaking about holding the grid, the people who were actually really in charge of, they knew how to work with the grids, they worked with intention. Of course, it had to be done with impurity, because when you don't have pure intents, the ego comes in. So there's personal agendas, and that's what happened with the destruction of the worlds, because there was not enough purity. So purity means direct connection with source. It's all pure anyway. So when you don't have that serving the higher good aspect, you're not aligned with that. It's always like this. You can't cheat source self. It's as it is, and it is what it is. And what I also wanted to say is that because I feel this was who I was, and it was shown to me through my dreams, through many things and many messages coming in, and because of that, I sometimes feel, and I know probably a lot of you feel that too sometimes, the mission that you have right now, that you're walking life, your daily life, what you do, who you are, the people you meet, everything. For me, it seems sometimes when I look at it from this lower perspective, it seems like so little. I say, but we've already lived doing so much. We had these abilities. We had, gosh, I remember I have this intense remembrance within me, and sometimes it really makes me cry. And the woman who was doing the session was crying as well, because she said, oh, so much was lost. Oh, so much was lost. And Dolores said, well, it's not lost. You just put it to sleep. Nothing's ever lost. It's like, in creation, everything works by the principles. When you don't complete it, when you don't complete one level, you can move on to the next. So the cycle reoccurring here on Earth is this constant, birth and destruction and and the battle of the inner polarities playing out until you reach the polarity of full integration within the equilibrium, the balance of the divine self, the masculine, the feminine, the inner divine child. And as long as this is being played out, it's being played out. But those who play it out internally, and then they can move to the next level externally as well, to the new realm of experience. And those who don't, they just need to recreate the cycles of how it is in creation. So when this feeling, like I said, it makes you feel like crying sometimes, it's how it is for me, because I feel I've been so much more. I am so much more in higher levels. I do so much more in higher levels. And on this level, this tiny fragment of me, of multidimensional self that is human, that is here right now, feels like, oh, but there's so much more. And a lot of times when I go about this daily walk, I feel there's so much more. But I need to stay in reverence of this, not like feeling there's something lost or, there's always going to be this sense, when you are coming from the higher realms and existing in the lower realms, you're always going to have that longing and that feeling, because this longing is what drives you forward to do the changes, to talk about it, to bring it forth, to bring that light forth. If you had none of it, you wouldn't feel anything, so you wouldn't do anything, because it's the feeling that manifests. So there's a lot of people who are called in the book the normal people, the people who don't know this, who have not yet been living in those higher realms. They don't understand this. So if you don't know something, you don't even think about it. It doesn't come to you. You don't have that awareness inside of you. So it's much more simple for them. The more knowing you have, the more responsibility you have. You know, in Spider-Man, the quote was, with great power comes great responsibility. So for me, this feeling of responsibility has always been felt through a lot of huge weight on me, on my shoulders. A lot of it like this, not personal, like in my personal life, but this huge collective weight, like creation, you know, what we created, what's happening, this weight, I always felt it, and I know it's been haunting me, quote unquote, since Atlantis. And she was saying we were not working for these people, we were working for the planet, for the creation, and in assistance and in alignment with the creator gods. And it's how I was also shown in my dreams and everything. But at the same time, when I live my purpose right now, it feels something totally different, and just a tiny fraction of it, because we shift. So we expanded to this level, and the purpose is shifting. When we move on to the next level, we will be exposed to our new purpose and to new sets of abilities, talents, and gifts that we already have. But until then, we gotta accept what it is, because it's all about that, you know. There is longing, there will always be longing, but through grace, through knowing, through the high understanding of what things are the way they are, we can actually go through it and manage it. And because of that, all the volunteers, so most of them don't really remember most of the things, because it would be really hard to live with them, for them in this realm with all the remembrance. It comes when you can move on to the next stage, that's what I feel. But when you have, even without seeing things or, you know, getting visions, when you just have that knowing, the divine remembrance is always in the feeling, so this is inner knowing. When you have that much knowing and feeling, and you still see what's happening in the external, in the collective, it's not always easy to live that way. You know, it's easier to live on a lower level when you're not yet, you know, activated to, you don't know, so you don't have the tools and the understanding, and you don't know what you're dealing with. You don't have to. You know, it's like a child. A child doesn't have the responsibilities of an adult. A child just has this playfulness and just exploring, and then you're growing through a learning phase and so on. Then you become an adult, and then, you know, this human life represents a lot, you know, through archetypes. And then when you're old, you actually have all the wisdom, all the knowledge, and you're just passing them on to the younger generation. And this is how it used to be in the indigenous cultures and in the natives and the wise ones, because they knew that the ancients had the wisdom to share. Now, you know, in the modern world, in the civilized world, the old people are not even being respected. They're just being pushed aside, like, oh, let's get rid of them. You know, they don't serve the society anymore. So in the true nature, this is really like an archetype of showing you that when you have all the wisdom, when you have all the knowledge, you'll be just sharing and showing the way and being of service this way. So we are each where we are, and it's not about the age. Look, this physical mechanism and the vehicle is just, it's a trick. It's a trickster. If you look at it through the eyes of the ego, you won't see beneath it. You won't see beyond. And those who have the heart to see will see it. And they will know. And they will see for themselves and for others, and they will feel. So guys, don't drop the longing. Don't lose that, you know, inner sense of feeling where you came from and who you are. There's a lot of the messages coming through now about the Leo, you know, the sun, the light, the shining, because the sun is the center of all the revolving planets, the center of light, and directly linked through all the other suns and the great central sun where all this light comes from. And it's all about shining our light to really say, this is who I am, and I will live this. I will claim it, you know, without shame or without, the ego does this. The ego needs to explain and validify, you know, and verify, and it's just silly when you look at it this way. So all this material stuff and what people are still choosing, it is what it is, and I embrace it. It's not my reality. And for me, messages were coming through, dropping what is unnecessary, focusing only what is necessary, what is of true value. And this is what I choose to do. So choose the same if you're guided so. It will bring you so many blessings. When you choose for yourself, you will always choose what is of the true value for you. Until then, you know, I'll be sharing what I can share if I have some time. There's a lot of things I have to do. But I'll be sharing if I'm guided to in videos. Not so much on Facebook. I don't know, we'll see. Take care, guys. Love you lots. Bye.